How y'all doing today?
Hey Mom, look, the boys are back in town.
So, today on Shag's Shop, we're going to be doing something a little bit different. Y'all have heard me mention it in the past. My Tundra this, my Tundra that. This came out of my Tundra. This needs to go back in my Tundra. Well, I've got it here today. So we're going to do a little bit of a walk around video, kind of explain everything I've done to the truck, how long I've had it, and all that fun stuff. So, start out the origin story behind this old girl. It's a 2001 Toyota Tundra with TRD off-road package. It is a limited, but that really doesn't matter in my opinion. It's got the 4.7 liter V8, which is the 2UZ FE motor. In my opinion, one of the best motors Toyota ever made, next to like the 2JZ, but that's a little pet peeve of mine. It has got 230,000 miles on it. All of those were put on by me and my family. It is a one-owner truck. We bought it when it was brand hammer new, and it stayed bone stock until I got it when I was 15 as my first truck. And so this thing has been my pride and joy. It is the vehicle that got me started working on pretty much any vehicle ever. I never touched a vehicle besides like changing oil in my dad's car with him and his trucks, stuff like that. So this is where I first got to get my hands dirty with suspensions, wheels and tires, electrical work, all that fun stuff. So let's get into it. Let's do a little walk around. Starting up front, we have a Go Rhino push bar that I just put on. I had an Aries bull bar on it back whenever I was in high school because I wanted all the chrome, and then I realized chrome really wasn't my style. I also used to have some real big 20x10s and 33-inch low profile tires, and it did not look pretty, so I kind of revamped my whole thinking once I got to college on what I wanted this truck to be. And so this is kind of my camping rig. I can rely on it to take me places, you know, that I don't necessarily trust my Tacoma going over, like long distances and stuff like that. So we got the Go Rhino push bar, two amber and white LED pods, and then my big 32-inch LED bar up top. Really lights up trails, really lights up the road at night, so I can see where the heck I'm going and not clobber any deer. I've got a front mount CB antenna similar to the one Alec has on his 4Runner. It's just a standard fire stick, you know, nothing too expensive, but nothing too crazy or too cheap. Underneath the hood, like I said, it's got the 4.7 liter iForce V8, the 2UZ. It's completely stock except for the timing belt. When I had it done, I put all new TRD Pro phasers and everything in it to kind of keep everything where it needs to be. That's about it for the motor wise. Like I said, it's stock motor. Nothing's ever been done to it. All the proper maintenance has been done. This truck gets its oil changed every 5,000 miles, sometimes even every 3,000, depending on how much I drive it. Yeah, it's a bone stock Toyota. Replaced all new coil packs, all new plugs, went with factory Denso ones because those ones that I had before lasted 225,000 miles. So I can't really complain. I wanted to go back with everything factory. The only issues I've actually had with this truck is underneath this cowl right here, there's a gasket down below that actually is prone to going bad and leaking on these trucks, and it was draining water down into my floorboard on the passenger side, but we got it all taken care of with some silicone. I'm running, just like in every other truck I own, a secondary fuse box for all of my lights and accessories and stuff like that. This one doesn't have much on it because I really don't do a whole lot of accessories as far as lighting goes. I just kind of keep this thing as simple and clean as I can, but still have good quality products. Moving down to the wheels and tires I got on, I'm running BF Goodrich all-terrains, you know, the KO2s. Super great tire, super quiet, super good off-road. Never had an issue with them. And if we peek inside, I do have a Total Chaos upper control arm with a full uniball. It is also sitting on Bilstein 5100s around the entire truck. So I kind of spent some money, made sure that this suspension was good, and I'll go in, I'll go and pull the wheel off and tell y'all a little bit more about the suspension. All right, so dropping into the front suspension here. As you can see, we got a Total Chaos upper control arm, the full uniball. Bilstein 5100 shocks, like I said, that I put around the entire truck. That is actually the stock Toyota spring. Being this truck does have 230,000 miles on it. Damn! But I have replaced literally every component of this suspension except for the wheel bearing, and the wheel bearing thankfully has never given me any problems, knock on wood. New tie rod ends, inner and outer, new sway bar link, new sway bar bushings, racket pinion bushings, even replaced the bump stops. I just put factory bump stops back in. Aftermarket CV axles, high angle CV axles. So this truck is ready to be jumped. I'm not gonna jump it, although I probably could if I wanted to. See some rub marks from my younger days of whenever I had big old wheels on this thing and low profile tires, typical high schooler. But yeah, that's the suspension setup. I get roughly 7 to 8 inches of down travel and about 6 inches of up travel before I bottom out on the roof of the fender. So yeah, that's the suspension on the front. That's where the meat and potatoes of this whole truck is. Moving to the cockpit of the whole operation, it's just stock interior except for a Pioneer radio, and then I got my rocker switches here for all my LEDs. They fit perfectly underneath that Pioneer radio. Keeps everything simple and clean. Little red accents here and there, not too proud of them. Red LEDs all through the whole truck. All of my patches and everything, because let's face it, we're all a bunch of patch whores around here. Same thing, everything's red because red is my favorite color. Got my CB mounted here. No need for a clip when you got the old poop handles, and just easily accessible. Grab it, go. All your controls are right there, it's out of the way. And I think it looks pretty good. But yeah, stock interior. Moving into the back seat. Don't mind the clothes, I just got off work. Oh! Ew! Keep a tool bag in here. Just every kind of tool I could ever possibly need to work on this truck. Mostly 10s and 14s for my Toyota guys. Some more tools in the back, electrical box, and then there's some other tools and a specialty socket set over there. But yeah, just a little access cab. It works perfect for what I need it for. It gives me plenty of dry storage as well as plenty of room when riding around. So coming down the back, obviously same thing on the back. It's got Deaver leaf springs in the rear. Gives me a nice smooth ride as well as a pretty good amount of travel in the rear. Once again, it is the TRD off-road package, so it's got limited slip rear and front differentials, which to me is really weird, but hey, it works. I've never been stuck in this truck. In the back, stock as can be, you know, nothing too fancy. I got a Spintech dual flow exhaust. I went with those instead of a Flowmaster because they actually will pull air in whenever you let off of the gas pedal, and it'll pull air in and keeps your engine cooler. I run about 1/8 of an inch lower or below halfway on my temp gauge every time I'm driving, even in the middle of summer on like a 100-degree day with high humidity. I need to get a new tailgate handle because this one is unfortunately bent to dust. But my plans for this truck are pretty cool. So it's getting up there in miles, so I don't drive it a whole lot. It was my daily driver from the time I was 15 till I bought my first Ford in August of 2019. Then I parked it and it's sat for a good while. I keep the miles down, but I still take it out and have fun with it. So I can keep it as pristine as possible, keep the miles down as much as I can, but it's just too much fun of a truck to drive. All right, let's talk about future plans for this truck. So my original plan was get me a nice, beautiful, big bed rack, rooftop tent all the way on the top, you know, go camping. I can throw all my junk underneath it, because this truck's usually not going to go on any tough trails like my Tacoma's going to be, because I don't mind banging the Tacoma up all to pieces. This one, all the panels are still straight. It's never been in an accident, so we want to keep this one as clean and pristine as possible. But when I got to comparing prices on everything and how much it would cost for a good quality bed rack and a good quality rooftop tent, I factored in, hey, why don't I just buy a camper shell for it? So I'm in the process now of actually shopping around, trying to find just a used one. Use probably a Lear or an ARE just to fill in the back, and then I'll slap a roof rack on top of that. Eventually get a full-size spare, because this truck does have 305/80 R16 tires on it, I believe. So they're pretty giant tires that don't fit up underneath the bed where the factory one is. But once I get the bed rack on, or the bed cap on, it'll give me a lot more options as far as what I want to do. I'm planning on building a shelving unit in the bed that goes the full length of the bed on one half, leave the other half open for storage, as well as making that drawer space a area that I can sleep on when I do go camping. That way I ain't got to go out and buy like an overlanding camper or something like that, because nobody wants to spend that much money on a camper. Yeah, it's going to be a fun build. I mean, I've been working on it since I was 15. I'm 24 now. So 9 years of nonstop work on this thing. Still not out of the woods on it yet. It always seems to be the truck that gives me the most problems when I do go to work on it. But we always get it fixed in the end. I am at the point now where I might be having to buy a new carrier bearing, and if that's the case, I'm going to end up going with a solid drive shaft, because you do have the two-piece drive shaft. Never liked them. But rides like a dream. That Total Chaos suspension up front really helps it float, especially at higher speeds, like up to 80. I don't feel any bumps. The rear D-release springs, it makes it super good when I do tow with this truck, because this is the heaviest duty truck I own with the biggest motor, the most torque, and all that. So it does have the highest towing capacity out of all my trucks. So it comes in handy when you're looking at situations like that. But once I get a bed rack, or a bed cap rather, we'll be seeing a lot more of this truck on the channel, because then I'll have more things that I can do to it. Because right now, I'm at a standstill. I've got the suspension, I've got the front end done, I've got the CB radio in it. I don't need to do anything to the interior. So just keeping it running, doing general maintenance, you know, like I said, every 5,000 miles we change the oil. Every 25,000 I change the transmission fluid. You're not supposed to do that, but we've done it since we own the truck, so, you know, can't really complain. The only issues I've ever had out of this motor was the radiator got a crack in it, which happens, and I had to put a starter in it. And for those of the guys who own these first-gen Tundras, they're going to know that starter underneath the intake manifold, it is a pain to do. So I hope to God I never have to do that again. But that is my first-gen Toyota Tundra, my baby, my pride and joy. So hopefully we can get it on the channel more for fun stuff, not necessarily maintenance like my Tacoma, because this is not a budget build. This is the build that I spent time, money, and countless amounts of blood, sweat, and tears to get it to where it's at now. So thank y'all for tuning in. We'll catch you on the next one.